Step in every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Lady Love with relationship coach Joan Kenyon Woods. Uncover the secrets to lasting connections and thriving relationships. Only on our network, Brand on Demand, right here every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, beginning February 14th, the Love Day. Tune in, grow together. Lady Love, where hearts find their homes.
Hello, my awesome, phenomenal sisters and women CEOs. Welcome back to Lady Love. I'm excited to be here again. And this week we have an awesome lesson and program for you. Because in this program, I'm really going to be talking about some heavy subject, but one that I was excited to receive a letter from a viewer. As you know, this is not one way. Sisters, I want you to reach out to me to ask those hard questions. And one sister did. She reached out to ask about, she had contacted this gentleman on a dating app and everything seemed to be going well. And she was so enthralled and thrilled by this possibility of a love match. And then it all fell apart. That this person turned out to be nothing of what he seemed. And it was all a scam. Of course, she is so heartbroken. And I appreciate you, my sister, reaching out and writing this long letter to me to ask about, how can you tell when you think it's going well and right, but then it turns out to be, a catfish, something that is not real, that this person didn't want what she wanted. First, I want you to know if that's you, it's not your fault. And for the sister who wrote to me, we'll just call her R. I want you to know that my heart bleeds for you. And thank you for reaching out to me because I do want to help. It's become a problem in our world today. And it is difficult to be on these dating apps and sites and not know if it's real. So how can you tell? And I know for many of you sisters out there who are looking to find that one that is your heart's guardian, that it is so sad when it turns out that a person that you think is on your side, who's there for you, that they're not. And so I want you to know that you can get back up. You can start again. And there is someone for you. And so I brought my notes today because, this is a big problem in our world today. And I don't know what, some of these men are thinking when they find wonderful, accomplished, lovely women and feel that this is what they're going to do, is to scam and to hurt, and to abuse, really, right? But the thing I want you to take away, if nothing from today, is that it is not your fault and you have help, you have support, and I want you to reach out, and reach out to me or whomever you feel that can give you that support that you need to get back out there, because someone is there for you, my sis. Okay, someone is there for you, and I want you to know that this happens to many people, and even without it being, online a scam, we've all gone through hurt and pain. I don't know if I told you my story, but I was let down and pushed aside and left like rubbish from the man I thought was the love of my life. And then I was able to just be around positive thinking people, joining the church to build up my spirituality, work on my personal development. It took a while, but then I did find that one. So know that it is not over. It is not the end. We've all been there. Heartache is a part of our life, but I get it. When you are maliciously hurt, like some people are, by these terrible men out there, it is difficult to bounce back. So today, what I want to do is to give you 10 things that you can do. And I brought my notes today because I don't want to, miss anything. So hopefully I'm not like looking down too much and everything. All right. So first, I want you, when you're on these sites or, you are in person with somebody that you decide to meet, and that's really kind of the first thing, do not continue a relationship sight unseen. That's not a relationship. If you can't meet with that person, so begin with meeting with somebody who lives in a place and the area where you also live, right? Long distance works for some people and it's happened. People have found love, but I don't recommend it, right? So make sure you can meet with that person in a public place, preferably not in your town. Meet a town over or two, right? So they're not so aware of, oh, this is where you live, they know your area and things like that. And when you get with this person, you're sitting down and you're having this cup of coffee or tea or whatever you decide to do, you're going to ask about and test his communication style. How does it communicate with you? And again, you want to know what kind of communication you want, right? Is this person, is he consistent and attentive? Because that's what we're looking for in relationship. We want attention. We know that you and I and everyone in relationship, we want attention. Many relationships fall apart because of lack of attention. When that man is, no longer interested in you, doesn't say you look lovely, or, they're happy to be around you, it's time. I'm reaching over here, touching my clock because it keeps ringing. So I'm going to try to ignore it. And so it's important to test his communication style. How attentive is he? All right. Does he often speak or is there long moments of silence? Now, I hear you that some of you out there like the tall, silent type, but and my microphone just fell down. But I mean, when you are talking and you're having a conversation, but he's silent or uncommunicative, that's not a good sign, right? I was just talking to a friend of mine and she was saying that she always has to initiate the conversation. She always has to continue the conversation. He doesn't have the ability to keep it going. And we can talk about some of the ways to do that as well. Ask then, so that's number one. I'm going to give you like 10 things here, in the time that we have. Number two is to ask about his intentions. Now, I know that sounds pretty old-fashioned. We were like, if you go back to our parents' time, even, not even mine, right? And I remember my parents and my grand talking about, their moms would ask the young man, what's his intention? Right. And if you've grown up, a baby boomer or someone out there now, you've heard this, I hope. And if you haven't, yeah, there was a time when young men were asked by a young lady's dad, what are your intentions? And it's okay to ask that. Now, are we asking these questions, one, two, three, like that? No, we're having the conversation. But you're saying, oh, so tell me about, what is it that you look forward to? Something like that in the future, in a relationship. Are you serious about being committed to somebody or are you just looking to date? Right? Because one of the problems we have are many of the men that people are meeting and some of the people I speak to are just serial daters, right? They're just there for the thrill of the meet. Who can I meet today? Meet a gorgeous woman and go on to the next. And so if he's like, well, I'm not committed, I'm just looking to date. Okay, Those things should send up an antenna. Like, okay, he wants to date, and that's fine. Dating is what we're going to be doing to get to who we need to get to. But if he's sounding like, this is just the first and last date, like, yeah, I date a lot. I date a lot of women. Things like that. If you hear him saying things like that, I date a lot of people. And what is date a lot of people? Like, how many people do you really need to be dating, right? If you're committed and serious, you'll probably hear something more like, I date, but what I'm looking for is this woman who has this, and that, right? What I'm looking for is a relationship where I can feel this with the person. You want to hear him give some kind of benefit or end result of what he's looking for in a relationship. Okay. Number 3, past relationships. This is a tough one because you don't really want anyone on a date talking about their exes and all that stuff. So I don't mean talk about the exes. I mean, ask about, what were you like in a relationship? Ask him about what he was like. You're not asking about his ex-wife, girlfriend, partner, mate, whatever he wants to call them. It's, what were you like, mate? Right? What were you like in the relationship? Because you're talking to him about what he's like. It really isn't about what she was like before, right? It's how he presented in that relationship. So tell me about your relationship, in your marriage. If he was married and you're talking about he was divorced, when you meet, these things, I was divorced, or, I just broke up with somebody a year ago, 6 months ago. I was in a relationship. These are conversations you're having when you first meet, right? And it's fine. So you're asking about the past relationships and the history. How long, were you in the relationship? And tell me about how you ended it. How did it end? Talk about those things, of how it ended. What was it? Acrimonious? Was it, ooh, knives and daggers and out the slamming doors and running for your life, cutting tires? If that's the kind of relationship, you want to run a mile, right? Because you don't want anybody who's coming from a fraught life. And if he were, as some people are, have you worked through that? Was the anger and the angst all his? Was it him who was behaving badly? Right? And if he's blaming her all the time, that's a red flag. If you hear that, oh, she did this, she did that, I couldn't do this, I was trying to be this, but this lady was blah, 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 that's a red flag because it's never one-sided. If he's not saying, you know what, and this is a good one, because if he says, you know what, I was to blame for a lot of it, I was unfaithful, and if he was man enough to admit that, then you might be onto something there. That's honesty, right? Now, I hear you. You like, oh, well, cheater, once a cheater, always a cheater. But are we talking about cheating and continuously, or was it, we were in a relationship that was going nowhere, no love, no nothing, and she just was not interested in me anymore, and we decided to part, and so I, stepped out of the relationship. It's what he's saying, how he's saying it, and what he really did. So if he's honest enough to tell you that, go with that. But you want to know. You want to know about future goals. Now, many women that I speak to say, oh, he better have ambition. He better be meeting me at my level. And I hear you, my wonderful CEO, powerhouse ladies out there. But really, do we want a man who's on the same level as us or you? That you are butting heads. Think of actors and people in that industry. We hear the stories all the time, right? It's the competition. It's, not being able to understand or accept that they have to do the things they have to do, be apart often, be around other people who are gorgeous and wonderful as well. And so, yeah, do you really want that? Or do you want somebody who is meeting you at the level of joy and love that you want, rather than, he's ambitious too, and he better be making this much, and he better be, this guy who's, Wall Street exec? Or is it that you want your heart's guardian? Is it that you want the supporter that you need in your life? And so, be aware of the future goals that he has, discuss that. Does he himself, see himself settling down and being your supporter? And today, the roles of men and women in relationships can be exactly what you want it to be. It is not set in stone anywhere. And that's one of the beauties of relationships today. I love that they are fluid and lovely, right? And so they can be what you want your relationship to be. There's no prescribed way to be in a relationship. The only prescription that you have for a relationship is that you are in it. Is that what you decide that is your relationship is what you decide. And you are in it for the long haul. When I tell people I'm married 33 years, I knew, and we knew, my husband and I, that we made that decision to be in it for the long haul. The grass is always going to be greener, but if you're in it for the long haul, you're going to be watering your grass every single day to keep it as nice as you can as next doors. And that's what the relationship is. Decide to be in it for the long haul. Decide that your future goals, you're going to be focusing on your personal goals and building that together, building it together. So if he's talking like that and saying those things, I'm looking to be with somebody who I want in my future, that I see myself really soon or in the future being married, being settled, and the things that you're looking for, if that's what he's saying, that's something great. You want to look at, and I don't know what number this is, 1, 2, 3, 4, number 5, his family values. What are family values? I remember speaking with one of my clients, and that was her number one thing, right? She was a mom, a single mom, and was in a long-term relationship, but she wanted somebody, and, the child's father was no longer with her, but she wanted somebody who had family values. He valued a family, right? And would accept her child as his. He also, the young man that she did end up with, did also have a child, right? And so explore, what does family relationships mean to him? Is he a good son? Is he a good brother? Is he a good uncle to the rest of his family? Because when you are in a relationship, you're not just with that person. I remember when I met my husband and his 14 aunts and uncles. Yes, 1, 4, 14 wonderful people, hilarious. But can you imagine a house with 14 kids running around? And so now the 14 adults are everywhere, right? But they're very close and tight. Often we'd go to family events and half of them would be there. Now, some of them have passed on, but I remember when I just met him, how thrilling it was, because I only have one sister. And so from 2 to 14, and then they had children. And today also, even before we had children, his cousins were having children. I remember when I met his little cousin, he became a dad, before we did. Now he's a granddad before we are. And so amazing, huge family, right? So we want to know, what are your family values? Does he value the family bond? Does he value, extended family? And if that's what you value as well, right? So you want to know these things. And then number 6, I think it's number 6, consistency. How consistent is he in paying attention to your relationship and to you? When you make a date or, a time to meet up or get together, does he stick to it? Or is he always changing it? Is he always making an excuse? I can't make it. I can't. And listen, life happens. It really does. Life really happens. But if you are finding that he's not being consistent, it's time to rethink. How about emotional availability? That's a big one. That's a big one. I'm going to look at my notes because that is a big one. So assess his emotional availability. Is he open and vulnerable to you, or does he seem guarded and unwilling to share his feelings? We know that men are more cagey than we are, ladies, right? If you didn't, you know now, right? They don't tell us everything. We go to all of our friends and tell them everything about our lives and, work and everything else. We talk. Few men talk as much, right? But if you are forming a relationship, you're on your second, third, fourth date, you want to have some emotional vulnerability. And a friend of mine or a mentor from afar calls it emotional nakedness. I just love that, right? Because being naked, you are just totally open. You can see everything. So you may not be able to see every single thing about him on the second, third, or fifth date, but you want to start seeing something. He will be sad about, yeah, the relationship didn't last, but I stay in touch with my children. I make sure everything's okay, things like that. And to be vulnerable, tell you things that you want to know about him. Does he have respect? Now, that's a big word in our society today. They don't show me respect, and it causes a lot of problem when people feel that they've been disrespected. So observe how he treats others and how he treats you. I was talking to a friend of mine too the other day when I said, if I'm going into, the restaurant or somewhere with my husband, or even just go in the street and I see a guy, I just stop a little, just a little hesitation to see if he's going to open the door. Now, my husband does, and I'm glad to say most men do. They're like, oh, let me get that for you. And I'll say, oh, I have to tell your mom that chivalry has not died, because that is chivalrous. So, ladies, if you're out there and men are going to open the door for you, don't go, it's okay, I can do it. No, let them do it. That's one of the few things that men still want to do. If they're doing it, they still want to do for us. So I let them open the door, and I thank you so much. Now, if there's a second door and I get to it first, I'll open that. Let them go, right? But see if he respects your opinions, has boundaries, right? You're like, okay, I have a friend whose boyfriend takes her out on Tuesdays. She's a teacher and she has to be up early. I was like, no, babes, we cannot be going out on big dates, eating, going to the city and all that on a Tuesday. Like, no, love, can we do it like Friday? I know it's like the day everybody goes, but it works so much better because we can sleep. I'm not tired and all of that. So tell them the boundaries so that he knows. He may think, it's a great event, let's go, but it may not work for you. All right. So if he doesn't, say so and see if he respects them. Boundaries are very, very important. I'm going to do a whole thing on that again, because that's so important. Red flags. Red flags are, things that you just know do not feel right. And you'll know it when they do it or say it. Ladies, we do have women's intuition. It is a real thing, right? And so when watch out for those signs of the lack of communication, the ghosting, right? You go out once or twice and you made a date to call again, or you text, oh my gosh, that was so wonderful. And yeah, what you're texting is really important as well after the date. Oh, that was the most exciting thing I've done in an amusement park, wherever you go. Or, walking in the sunset at dusk was so wonderful and calming. I felt so at ease with you. Thank you for that date. You want to say things like that. But if they don't respond, that's a red flag. Because who wouldn't respond to that? Right? And so you want to look out for red flags. So any emotional baggage that they come in with, That's big. Now, we all have it. We're all coming with it if we haven't worked through it yet. Remember in the beginning, I told you I had to work through all of the baggage of being discarded by the person I thought was the love of my life. And, when I had to reach out to my aunt, who was a really spiritual prayer warrior, to get me through that, who brought me to church, who introduced me and brought me to be saved, to have my spiritual being awakened, all those things, but it took time. And so we all have the baggage that we're bringing, but if he is holding on to the baggage, anger for little things, door slamming when you're talking or leaving, some of those things you have to be careful about. Inconsistent patterns, right? 1 minute they're hot, you've heard this, and then the next minute they're cold. Those things are red flags. It's like, what's going on, right? Your emotions should not be toyed with. And you'll know when they are being toyed with, because you will feel it like this person does not have my best interest at heart. And so you go with that. And to end, number 10 is everything that I just said in a nutshell, that women, ladies out there, in all of your strength, you know that you have, and it is real. We have that intuition. We have that gut feeling when something isn't right. When you walk into a room or you're going out to do something and you feel a sense of foreboding. You know that I should not be doing this right now. Don't do it. You know that, what, this person's not for me. I have a friend too who's just telling me she's going on some speed dating. And I said, oh, that's so exciting, right? Because sometimes when we just sit down with a person across from us, you already feel whether it's right or wrong. We all are walking around with an aura, with a whole sense of energy around us. We have that energy. What is your sense of his energy? If you don't feel it, or if you feel it that it's negative, step back and trust it and believe in it, because it's there. We have it. We all have it. We know when we're in a room with somebody dangerous sometimes, right? The way that they're standing, the way that they're looking, the things that they're doing. We know that something is wrong with what they're doing. And so I hope that was helpful. I'm here. Please reach out to me. I hope that this was helpful. Thank you for your letter, and do reach out and let me know if this was helpful, and ask your questions. I am here for you. This is not a one-way, communication. Communicate with me. Ask me the questions you want answered, because this is what I'm here for. And remember to ask for what you want. Seek to become what it is that you are looking for, so that you can knock down those obstacles that's holding you back from finding your heart's guardian. Until next time, this is Joan Kenyon Woods, and this has been Lady Love. Mwah. Thanks for watching Lady Love, where love and success go hand in hand. I would love to hear from you. Contact me at joankenyonwoods.com, where you can book your one-to-one discovery session and get a mini love plan so that you can find your heart's guardian. Until next time, bye-bye.